Good morning, everybody. Happy Wednesday. I hope your day is off to a good start. You've got a good cup of coffee with you. We missed last week, but that's all right. We're back today. Today is January the 6th. And if you pay attention to such things, January the 6th is Epiphany, which is the date on which the church commemorates, celebrates the visit of the wise men to the newborn Jesus. So today is Epiphany, and if Epiphany falls on or really close to a Sunday, a lot of times that will preach on that. The Sunday service will revolve around the visit of the wise men. I'm going to read what Matthew says. Now, after Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea in the days of Herod the king, behold, wise men from the east came to Jerusalem, saying, "Where is he who has been born King of the Jews? For he saw a star when it rose, and have come to worship him." When Herod the king heard this, he was troubled, and all Jerusalem with him. And assembling all the chief priests and scribes of the people, he inquired of them where the Christ was to be born. They told him, "In Bethlehem of Judea, for so it is written by the prophet. And you, O Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, are by no means least among the rulers of Judah. For from you shall come a ruler who will shepherd my people Israel." Then Herod summoned the wise men secretly and ascertained from them what time the star appeared. And he sent them to Bethlehem, saying, "Go and search diligently for the child, and when you have found him, bring me word that I too may come and worship him." After listening to the king, they went on their way, and behold, the star that they had seen when it rose went before them till it came to rest over the place where the child was. When they saw the star, they rejoiced exceedingly with great joy. And going into the house, they saw the child with Mary his mother, and they fell down and worshipped him. Then, opening their treasures, they offered him gifts of gold and frankincense and myrrh. And being warned in a dream not to return to Herod, they departed to their own country by another way. So that is how Matthew describes the visit of the Magi. Actually, Matthew is the only gospel writer that describes the visit of the Magi, the only place that we encounter the visit of the wise men. This episode of the visit of the wise men is one of the areas in church life that we have embellished more than most others. One of the areas that we have embellished the most. So one of our popular hymns, "We Three Kings of Orient are." These people were not kings. They certainly were not kings. We three kings. We do not know whether there were three of them or not. It is certainly implied that there was more than one because it's plural. But it could have been two, or it could have been 20. The number three is purely a matter of custom, matter of church tradition, probably deriving from the fact that they brought three gifts: gold, frankincense, and myrrh. Over the years, we have given them names. By the Middle Ages, we mean in the church, had given them names: Gaspar, Melchior, and Balthazar. We come across those names in Christmas pageants, and we don't know what their names were. We have no way of knowing what their names were. That is a matter of church tradition. We envision them, at least again in our Christmas pageants, in our church Christmas pageants, and we have our little kids all dressed up in bathrobes and tinsel angel wings and all of this sort, and fake beards and all of this sort of stuff. In that, we envision the wise men showing up right along with the shepherds to worship the newborn baby Jesus. And it's just as likely that they came sometime after that. We don't know exactly when they came in relation to Jesus' birth. Again, the gospel writers don't tell us. Matthew doesn't tell us anything about the shepherds and angels visiting the shepherds, and Luke doesn't describe the wise men. So it's impossible to nail down definitively when these wise men would have came. We do know that they came to Bethlehem. That's pretty clear. They went first to Jerusalem and saw King Herod. And why in the world they thought it was particularly smart to tell a maniacal madman king named Herod that a new king had been born, that doesn't sound very wise to me, but nonetheless, they did it. So they went to Jerusalem, and then from there went to Bethlehem. But whether it was the same night, the same day that Jesus was born, or a month later or 2 months later, we simply can't we can't know. Well, where were they from? Who were these people after all? Well, like I said, they weren't kings. Certainly not kings as we envision them. Some translations will use the term magi. Others will use the term wise men. And basically what it amounts to is this. The magi were a class of sort of priest / soothsayer / astrologer. We know they're from the east, and that would have implied the area that was ancient Babylon, or perhaps even farther east than that in Persia. They were from a long way off, and from a class of people who studied the stars. They studied the stars to predict the future based on the movements of the stars. If you've heard of ziggurats, the ancient stair-stepped, pyramids that the ancient Babylonians built, envision these magi on the top of a ziggurat, observing the heavens. It's what they did. They observed the heavens, the movement of planets, to tell omens from that. These, like I said, they were astrologers, soothsayers, sorcerers, who portended important events based upon the movement of the stars. And so certainly they took notice of a really strange and unusual star that they saw. So what was the star? That's another good question. Years ago, the Moorhead Planetarium in Chapel Hill actually had one of their popular shows that they did every year was the Star of Bethlehem. I saw it several times. I don't think they do that anymore, but it was a great watch. And no one knows exactly what the star was. It could have been a planetary conjunction. This year on December 21st, there was, and the days on either side of that, there was a remarkable conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn. And we went to see it, and depending upon your eyesight, the two were so close that it appeared to be one remarkably bright star. If you got really good eyes, you could see that there was a minute distance between the two. It could have been a planetary conjunction of Jupiter, Saturn, and Mars. Others have theorized that the star that they followed was a comet. Others still have theorized that it was a supernova. A supernova meaning a red supergiant, a super big star that collapses in on itself as it's dying and then explodes. And sometimes when they explode, it is visible, hundreds or thousands of light years away on Earth. So, however it worked out, they saw something in the heavens in the Far East. as they are looking westward from their spot in the east, be that in an area that was ancient Babylon, or even farther east in Persia, they saw something in the heavens, a supernova, a comet, a planetary conjunction, something that struck their attention, and they remembered, and that brought to mind something that they had known of from Hebrew scriptures. They had some access to Hebrew scriptures, so they knew that in Numbers, there shall a star from Jacob come forth. And they followed the star, and that led them to Jerusalem, where they encountered the King Herod, and then from that to Bethlehem, where they encountered Jesus, either the day that he was born or possibly a month or 2 months or several months later. Again, we can't know exactly the timing of that. So today is Epiphany. But you get a twofer. Today, January 6th, is not just Epiphany. Today, January the 6th, is also Old Christmas, so you get a twofer on Coffee with the Preacher, Old Christmas. This gets rather complicated. You know, Christmas is celebrated at different days, by different Christian traditions. If you go all the way back to the earliest celebrations of Christmas, which were in the 4th century, and it was December 25th. You go all the way back. But today, January the 6th, is called Old Christmas. And our friends in the Eastern Orthodox Church celebrate the birth of Christ actually tomorrow, January the 7th. So how did this come about, and what is Old Christmas? The Julius Caesar, the one who sort of transformed Rome from a republic into an empire, reset the calendar, and it was called the Julian calendar. They knew that the year was 365 days long, but actually a fraction over 365 days, and Caesar established a calendar to account for this fraction of a year. And it worked really well for a long time, until by the 1500s, they realized that they were losing time. So by 1582, the dating of Passover, which is closely aligned with the vernal equinox, was all the way back in like March 11th. They had lost a lot of time, and so 11 days to be precise. And so, Pope Gregory the VIII got some wise folks together, and they set about to try to fix the calendar, to fix this 11-year gap. So what they're doing is, you've got the day on the calendar, but what you observe in terms of the movement of the sun is off from that. So they shifted things, in other words. They added 11 days. They had to add 11 days to the calendar to account for this. And so this gets you from December 25th to January the 6th. So you're worshiping yourself on Christmas Day, December 25th, from late in the 300s AD, on and on and on, and you're celebrating Easter when you celebrate Easter, and gradually you begin to realize that our dating doesn't seem to match what the sun says, the movement of the sun says, and so they change the date to keep up with the sun. And so here we have, they just changed the date. They changed the date from December 25th to January the 6th. And so if you are in the tradition in the Eastern Church, and there's some pockets here in the Western world that practice Old Christmas and celebrate Christmas today. Not because Jesus' birthday has ever been celebrated on January the 6th, there's ever been a tradition of that, but rather it's this day was years ago called December 25th. This change in the numbering. It is confusing, but it confused me too. So today is Old Christmas. Today is Epiphany. And the last thing that I will mention is this. Merry Christmas. If you practice Old Christmas, if you like some eggnog, this is a last chance to have a good glass of eggnog and some Christmas sugar cookies and feel good about it. Christmas doesn't actually end until today. Old Christmas / Epiphany. This is the traditional day for taking down Christmas decorations. So I suppose we'll be doing that at our house this evening. But Merry Old Christmas. Happy Epiphany. Have a great Wednesday.